Phenibut for Anxiety and Depression, a review. My name is Jared Mello and I'm author of Radical Self-Respect, Avoid Falling for the Same BS. I talk about things like recovering from mood disorders in my book, as well as codependency, people-pleasing, and learning how to be more assertive. So if you're into that kind of thing, please check it out and share my content with others who you think might benefit from learning about radical self-respect. Now, everything I do on this channel falls under the umbrella of radical self-respect, and taking care of things like anxiety and depression certainly qualifies. And so I've done a lot of supplement videos in the past, and I haven't done one for a minute, so I decided to do a review of Phenibut. Now, Phenibut and I go way back, because it was the thing that made me leave NA, because I liked it that much, and I realized that my new thoughts weren't really compatible with NA anymore. So I moved on. And before I proceed, this is a legal thing, Phenibut, and I absolutely believe it should remain legal forever. I'm not for the government stepping in the way and regulating what free citizens put into their bodies. I don't like that very much at all. So Phenibut is legal and should remain legal. But what is Phenibut? Phenibut is a GABA-B agonist. So for frame of reference, clozapine, Xanax, and alcohol, they are all GABA-A agonists, and they're a little bit different. And obviously Xanax and clozapine and things are given by psychiatrists for anxiety, and I think they have a lot of terrible side effects, honestly. And alcohol, of course, people drink as a social lubricant in some cases and an antidepressant, so those are their uses. But Phenibut works on GABA-B. And I kind of have two different stories with Phenibut, because before I found the supplement routine I have now, I took some supplements, but my baseline level of anxiety was humongous. And when I had severe anxiety, Phenibut was like magic. Phenibut would just alleviate any insecurities at all, would completely change my attitude and my outlook, and it just gave me hope that things could be good. It gave me this feeling that I was unstoppable, and that it just seemed like life had endless possibilities, and it was like I was in a movie almost. You'll see on the Phenibut subreddit, people talk about the magic, and I know exactly what they mean when they say that. I had the magic where, especially when talking to women, everything would just turn to gold, because I owned myself when I was on it. I owned it. Everything about myself, I just owned it. And that's really attractive to women. It's really attractive to everybody, really. And that's what it did for me. And it's kind of like a trip in that way, because I know a lot of people take it and they think, wow, I should be taking this every day. And I don't think that's the best use case for Phenibut, because tolerance issues can be an issue. And if you take it every day and then you stop, there will certainly be withdrawal. And I tend to think that Phenibut loses its efficacy over time. So in the beginning, it's the best, but if we take it more and more frequently, often for many of us, it will no longer have the same effects. Now, for me, I don't take it very often at all anymore for a couple different reasons. One, I have a whole supplement routine that I take, and that my baseline level of anxiety today is not that high. And I noticed that when I've taken Phenibut since I normally don't have that much anxiety, I don't have a massive discrepancy anymore between how I am on Phenibut versus how I am normally. Because I think one of the telltale signs that someone probably does have a mood disorder or an anxiety disorder is Phenibut completely changes their outlook, and they feel night and day better on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I was there myself. But I've noticed now that I've gotten a little better with my mental health that Phenibut doesn't do that for me anymore. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, so I'm just talking from my own experience with this. I'm not talking professionally or clinically in any way. But to me, when I had like a really bad social anxiety disorder or generalized anxiety disorder, Phenibut was a miracle weapon. And I would look forward to my days on Phenibut more than any other days. And that became, in fact, the problem too, where I would take it like once every couple weeks, or even in some cases once a week, and my whole life would feel less than until that day. Because I would look forward to that day because there was such a discrepancy where I felt so much better on the days I took Phenibut. So I looked forward to them like they're my magical get out of myself thing to do, where I would go on an adventure and I would give myself permission to go all out on those days. And I would. And I had a lot of awesome times on them. But the problem was, even from just one dose, and I would take heavier doses, I admit that. And when we take heavier doses, there's the risk of rebound anxiety. And I would get pretty bad rebound anxiety from it. So for like a week, sometimes even after taking a hefty dose, I wouldn't feel myself. And so the Phenibut experience was like a trade for me. I would trade one amazing day for a week or longer of kind of crappy days. And that's how it went for me. And eventually I realized that I should just learn the lessons from Phenibut. And what are the lessons? To me, the lessons were attitude is everything. Because I noticed in all of my interactions and my thoughts on Phenibut, because I was just overall in a great mood and I was confident and my insecurities just melted away, I felt and acted as if that was true. And even my interactions with others, like I could say the same things when I wasn't on Phenibut, and then I would say those things on Phenibut, and I would have a different response to them. Because there was something I was subcommunicating in my energies that people just responded to, and they related to it, and they liked it. And then I took away the magic, I took away Phenibut for a while, and that magic wouldn't be there anymore. The same effects wouldn't be had. So I learned that attitude is everything, and I realized I can't just be living for my one Phenibut experience like bi-monthly or like twice a month. It's like I gotta be living for my day-to-day. And that's why I pushed through and I developed the supplement routine I have now, where my anxiety is very low on a normal basis now. And I feel like that's what helps. But where my anxiety was really high normally, I'd really look forward to my Phenibut days. And I'd really look forward to just going all out and going into fantasy land and having a fun time. Now, you're not supposed to mix Phenibut with alcohol, but I most certainly did that. And I most certainly mixed it with other things too. So I'm not saying you should do those things, but it absolutely does have a synergistic effect on those things as well. And I don't regret doing them, but I certainly probably made some blunders and did some things I regret while doing that. And so to me, the answer is Phenibut is an experience. It's like a trip. And it gives us, especially if we have an anxiety disorder or a mood disorder, it gives us a glimpse of what it could be like to not have any insecurities, to be extremely confident so that like music will sound good. And it's just awesome if we have an anxiety disorder. And it gives us that glimpse. But the problem is, once the substance is gone, that magic goes away too. And of course, the quest is to carry forth that energy to non-Phenibut days. And until I had my most recent supplement routine, that was pretty much impossible, because I would have my Phenibut rebound anxiety and life would be kind of crappy, and I'd just go back to how I normally was. And how I normally was at the time was anxiety-ridden and very insecure. And thankfully, I've gotten pretty good with all that. Now, I won't say I'm as confident as I was on Phenibut magic, but I'm close. And I do something that's sustainable. My supplement routine I have now is sustainable for daily use. And I don't think Phenibut would be. Some people try it out at lower doses, but for me, that wouldn't work. It might work for somebody else, but I would use extreme caution doing that, because I won't say the withdrawal is as bad as benzos, but it's probably pretty close. And benzos are one of the only withdrawals that can kill you, that and alcohol, so Phenibut's not something to trifle with in that way. But again, the lesson is, I think everyone should take it at least once, just to see what it's like. Because if you normally don't have anxiety, it is more likely that you won't feel as much of an impact. But But if you have like a generalized anxiety disorder, an inner gnawing, or depression, Phenibut may really be like a black and white difference for you. And if it is a black and white difference for you, the real lesson is to find something that's going to work for your day to day. Like get some supplements, go to a psychiatrist and try to find mood stabilizers or antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicines, because if it's doing that much for you, chances are there's something up. But enjoy the experience when you're on it. When you're on it, take note of your thoughts. Take note of your energy. Take note of your actions. And take note of how all of those things synergize and how our energy changes our actions and how our thought processes changes what we're willing to do. Because the world seemed full of opportunities on it, where I noticed when I was not on it, I would pigeonhole myself. I would box myself in. I wouldn't say yes to life as much. I wouldn't be looking forward to the little moments and the little things. And when I was on it, I'd give myself permission to do that. I'd give myself the permission to say yes, to go on adventures, to do things I normally wouldn't do. But again, part of it's the substance, but a lot of it was the attitude it gave me, the energy it gave me, and the thought process it gave me. And I would let that really influence my life. And so I've tried to learn to try to do that in my day-to-day. And do I do that perfectly? No, because there is such a massive discrepancy between how I was with a severe anxiety disorder and Phenibut. It was such a night and day thing that it was just out of control. And I enjoyed all of that, but those days are over for me now. And I could still do it, but there certainly wouldn't be as much of a discrepancy. It wouldn't be such a black and white difference, which is probably a good thing, because I don't have the desire to do it nearly as much anymore as I used to. And again, if someone wants to take this daily, hopefully in a small dose, okay. Although I wouldn't recommend that. I'd recommend taking it as an experience, taking note of your attitudes, your energies, and like how you feel and your thought processes towards others, and like the amount of love and care you have towards others. Those are the benefits. But then try to pull it into your day-to-day life. And for some people that will mean developing a new supplement routine or getting on psychiatric medicines, whatever it is. I don't care what it is, as long as it works for you. And so Phenibut absolutely works for anxiety, absolutely works for depression. It is a prescription in Russia, after all. And to me, it does serve some benefits. Like, it helps people with PTSD. It helps people with anxiety and from trauma. All of those things are good. But the issue is, if it's not going to be taken daily, you're going to be left with the same issues later, after it wears off. And that's when we have a question. Do we do something else to help ourselves with the things Phenibut was addressing? Do you want to take Phenibut daily? I wouldn't recommend it, but some people do. So that's like, Phenibut works for what it's intended to work for. Now, the long-term impacts of it, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that it's the best thing for your body, but I think it's something people should try at least once, just to see how it goes for them. And if you're okay normally and you want to do something for recreational use, okay. I say try it out once every so often and see how it makes you feel. And for me, like I said, anxiety goes away, insecurities go away, music sounds better, energy is much different, open to opportunities, and that's what it did for me. So those are my thoughts on Phenibut. Please let me know maybe some of your experiences on Phenibut. If you like it, not like it, good for you, bad for you, I'm all ears. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.